The land breathed heat and silence. The horizon was a copper edge of mesas and dust where the sky burned into the earth, and nothing moved except a single horse carrying a tired man across the open stretch. Colt Maddox had been in the saddle since dawn, driving stray cattle back toward his fences. His shirt clung to his shoulders, the brim of his hat was white with salt, and every bone in him felt the weight of too many miles and too many memories. He was 35, though the sun and sorrow made him look older. He had seen the war, the hunger years, the lawless ones that followed, and through all of it he had learned that a man could survive anything if he kept his heart shut tight. That belief began to crack the evening he found her. Down in the wash near the cottonwoods he noticed a fallen pony, still breathing but too weak to rise. Beside it knelt a girl, young and fierce-looking, her brown skin streaked with dust, her dark hair tangled with feathers and wind. She had a knife in her hand and a look in her eyes that said she would fight the whole desert if it came for her. Colt reined in his horse, one hand raised. "Easy now," he called, his voice rough from disuse. "I ain't here to hurt you." The girl did not move. Her voice, when it came, was soft but steady. "You are white man. White men bring death." Colt dismounted slowly, leaving his rifle across the saddle. "Sometimes they bring water," he said, tossing her his canteen. She hesitated, then caught it, drank, and stared at him over the rim. "Why?" she asked. He shrugged. "Because you look worse off than I do." He learned her name only after he had lifted the dead pony aside and offered her his hand. "Taya," she said, refusing his help at first, then accepting when her knees buckled. "Daughter of Chief Nahela." The name meant nothing to him except that it explained the pride in her bearing. He wrapped his spare blanket around her shoulders and set her before him on the horse. They rode toward the low ridge where the Maddox ranch baked in the sun like an old scar on the land. By the time they reached the yard, dusk had turned the sky to blood. His foreman, old Ben Waller, came out from the barn and stopped short at the sight of her. "Lord Almighty, Colt, what you bringin' home now?" "A human being," Colt said shortly. "She needs food and rest." Waller muttered something about soldiers and trouble, but he fetched water and stew all the same. Taya ate slowly, each movement cautious. When she finished, she sat by the doorway, watching the wind whip dust across the yard. "You saved my life," she said at last. "In my people's way, I must repay." Colt leaned against the post, weary. "You don't tell me nothin'." Her gaze met his, fierce and direct. "Then you do not understand. Among the Apache, a life saved must be answered by a life given." He smiled without humor. "I'm not looking to own anyone." She rose, her chin high. "You will not own me. I will give freely." He let the words pass. She was fevered, half-starved, maybe delirious. Yet that night, lying awake while the coyotes sang beyond the fence line, he kept hearing her voice. The next morning she was gone from the bunkhouse and out by the corral, feeding the horses. She worked as if she had always belonged there. When Colt tried to send her inside to rest, she only shook her head. "If I do not work, I am dead," she said simply. "The earth forgets the idle." By noon even Ben Waller stopped grumbling. "She's got more grit than half the hands," he told Colt. "But she's trouble waiting to happen." Colt answered, "So am I." Days turned into weeks. Taya mended fences, cooked when the cook was drunk, sang low songs in a language Colt did not know. At night she sat by the fire, staring into the flames as if reading the future. Sometimes she smiled at nothing, and the sight of it caught Colt off guard. A flash of warmth in the cold place he kept for his heart. One evening a storm came rolling from the west. The air smelled of rain and iron. Taya stood in the doorway, arms lifted, her face shining with the first drops. "The sky speaks," she murmured. "My father rides the thunder." Colt watched her, unable to move. When lightning split the heavens she laughed, a sound mild and alive. He stepped out, caught her wrist, pulled her back under the roof. "You'll be struck," he said gruffly. She looked up at him, rain glittering on her lashes. "Then the spirits will find me sooner." He felt something twist in his chest, a fear, admiration, desire, all tangled together. Inside, the fire crackled. She sat cross-legged near it, drying her hair with a towel he handed her. "You have ghosts," she said quietly. He frowned. "Everyone does." "Yours walk close?" He stared into the flames. "I lost my brother in the war. Lost half the ranch to drought. After that, Guess I quit believing in much." She listened, eyes steady. "The desert kills the weak but honors the ones who still plant seed." Her words, simple and ancient, struck deeper than any sermon. He found himself telling her things he had never told another soul, about his mother's death, the debts, the lonely winters. She said nothing more, only reached out and touched his scarred hand. Her palm was small, strong, warm. He didn't pull away. The next morning the storm had passed, leaving the world scrubbed clean. When he went to saddle his horse, he found the barn swept, the tack polished, everything in perfect order. A bundle of wildflowers lay on the stall door, desert blossoms, rough and beautiful. A single eagle feather rested beside them. "For strength," she said when he found her. He could only nod. But peace was never a lasting thing in that land. 2 weeks later, a column of soldiers appeared at the gate, blue coats, rifles gleaming. The captain saluted stiffly. "Mr. Maddox, we're searching for a runaway Apache woman, dangerous, possibly armed." Colt's heart hammered. "You can look around," he said, keeping his voice calm. The soldiers searched the barns, the sheds, the water hole. They found nothing. When they rode off, the dust of their horses hung in the air like smoke from a fire that might return. Tayo stepped out from behind the haystack where she had hidden. Her face was pale but proud. "You lied for me. They'd have taken you to the fort," he said, "and from there, who knows?" She studied him a long moment, then said quietly, "You risked your name for mine." "The debt grows." "Forget debts," he muttered. But she shook her head. "Number, I will repay. I will bear you a son." The words stopped him cold. He turned, searching her face for mockery, but there was none, only solemn truth, the calm certainty of her people. "You don't know what you're saying," he managed. "I do," she replied. "A son joins 2 worlds. He will carry both names, yours and mine. The earth will remember." He could not speak. For a moment the world seemed to tilt, the horizon spinning around her steady eyes. Then she added softly, "You saved my life. Now let me give life back to you." He walked away into the sunlight, heart thudding like hoofbeats. The wind carried her words after him. Somewhere deep inside, a door he had kept locked for years began to open.